Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome to Joan's. I'm Joan and this is my sewing room. Today I've been working on the dog quilt behind me, and I am going to continue working on it. The original pattern called for a pink or whatever color bandana on the dog's front, but I decided to go with the red collar because she always had a red collar. And I am naming this quilt Bandit. No, that's my old dog, Bagel. I don't know, I got that one mixed up. But anyway, Bagel. Bagel we had for 14 years, and I've made at least, I would like to say I recently have made 13 quilts. And I can't show you any of them except for pictures because I've given them all away. One out of all of them I've sold. But I do have pictures of them, and I will show you in another video. So let's continue with the Bagel quilt and see how it goes. Okay. So I have been working on, I got the mouth done, and the mouth was quite tricky. I don't have the pattern, so I've just going with making up the pattern as I go, as I look at the pictures. So that's kind of the way I roll. And I was wanting to make her snout or her chin a little bit wider, but when I would put on like white half square triangles, it didn't look that great. So I backed off and just went with the red. And so that's where I'm at, just that below the mouth. I'm doing that one roll there below the mouth. There, I'll move my head so you can see it better. Maybe I should move my machine over so you can watch me as I put it together. So I have to get up and grab it. This chair out of the way over here. And as I work on this dog quilt, I use a graft. Well, that's the picture of it. But I enlarge the picture big enough for me to number it, and then I build a graft wherever it is. It disappeared. Where did I put it? Oh, it's over there. I'm a winger. But anyway, I use graph paper and I draw a graft. That's what it looks like. And I number the across and I number down. And so this dog, Bagel, is 8 squares. And then I go in and I fill in with a different color pen, whatever, ink pen, whatever you have, the shaded area, which would be the background, the eyes and the mouth. And then I was first going to do the pink bandana, but my family would go, why does she have a pink bandana and not a red collar? She's always had a red collar, so I figured I'd just go with the red collar instead. And then the rest of her is white. So let's continue. Let's see. So it's basically half square triangles and squares. And what I have under here is another graft. So when I grab a piece, like under here is a piece of paper, and it tells me what it is. If it's all white or if it's half square triangle to match the pattern like this one. So I'm going to take this one off. And so this has, for the dark red, it would be a darker color on the graft, and then this is obviously white for white. So I'm going to sew those two together. And then this one is the dark, so it would be a background and a white. So obviously I'd sew these two together. And I'm going to put it. So as I've been working on this since, oh gosh, that wasn't a good idea. Okay, so it's just mistakes happen. Anyway, so as I've been working on this, like I said, I've kind of been making it up as I go. I mean, I've been following the pattern, but just putting it together as I go, as I roll. Okay, there's the one. So I figured with this, it's just going to be a wall hanging instead of a throw. I was going to make it into a throw, but I think my sewing room needs quilts to be hung and to be kept. So I figured I would just do that. And as you know, so these started off being, you can use jelly rolls or cut your fabric at 2.5-inch squares. So yeah, so some of them, actually I think, no, some of them were jelly rolls, like the off-white or the white were, and then the other ones I cut. And so as you sew them together, then your jelly roll, or your square, sorry, your half square triangle, that's what I'm trying to say, is smaller. So, and plus when you cut it like this, you're sewing against the bias. So anyway, they will need to be trimmed. And I need to press them. I don't want to mess that up again. So I'm just gonna put my iron down here. So I hope you're having a good day today. I am so far. Kind of seems a little ridiculous to have a big iron for such a little square, right? But anyway, whatever. As long as it works, right? All right, that didn't, well, it's okay. For right now, I'm just going to, instead of trimming them, I am just going to hang them up so you can kind of get an idea of where I'm at. So this would go here. Back up on the board. And then this one would go here. Lock that. And then I'm going to need another one right here. I don't know why. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When I put in this is a shadow line in the dog, so it separates the ear from the head. Can you see that? And so when I put it in, it was, it all of a sudden, you know, it just broadened things out further. I don't know, maybe my shadow line is a little thicker than it should have been, but I think it's like a 1/2 inch. And so it made everything a little wider. So I've had to extend it over here. And on this side too. But I think once I get all these sewed together, so which way I'm going to do it? I'm going to sew all these together right now, and then I'll see how this works here. So this kind of like learn how you go. I mean, it's easier for me to sew it this way than it is to sit down and read a pattern and figure it out. I mean, I can do some patterns, but mainly I'm more of a sight person, and so learner, and so I just figure out the patterns by graft and make a lot of mistakes. Whatever. Anyway. All right. So I'm going to sew these two together. So I'm just using like a gray thread because it's neutral color. And I'm using my Juki here. I really like this machine. It works really well for all kinds of things. The only thing is, it's really fussy. It's a fussy machine. And you don't want to mess with the tension at all. It's really sticky when it comes to tension. And because the upper tension runs the bobbin, and the bobbin tension runs the upper part, which is like total opposite of my Viking over here, or my other machines. And so when I first got the machine, you know, I just put on any old, in fact, which was a big mistake, I put on serger thread, because seeing people use these machines, they'd have these huge spools, and I thought, oh, I have those big spools. I could just use that type of thread. And that was a big no-no, because serger thread is made totally different than this thread, and I use Glide from that I order, and it's a polyester thread, but I really like polyester. I like that because it's cleaner, and I believe it's stronger. That's just what I think. But anywho, let's get to sewing here. I remember one day or last year sometime, I guess it was, or maybe it was 22, I don't know. Maybe it was 22. I went into the fabric store in town here, and I was looking for Glide. and I was looking through all the threads, and I have to use like 40 weight thread in this on this machine. So I was looking through all the threads. I couldn't find 40 weight. I mean, maybe they sell it, but I couldn't find it. And I didn't want to ask. But I was talking to some ladies that were in there, you know, just ladies, I guess, are obviously sewers or crafters or whatever. I think they were sewers because they were looking at thread too. And I was asking them if they, you know where the 40 weights are. And I was telling them that's what I need to use in my machine. And they said, really? They said, I've never heard that one before. We just use regular old thread. I said, yeah, I thought I could use regular old thread too, but I can't. Now in my Viking I can. Which seems kind of, but it's a different machine, so anyway. I'm not going to iron every one of them, and I'm not going to trim them right now. I'll trim them when I'm done putting them all together. And see, they are a little off. I do need to trim it. But I figured once I sew them all together, I'll go back and trim it. And I'll just press it here like this. So what I do is I'll sew a couple of them, and then I'll hang them up on the board like that and pin it up there. And you know, like with this pattern, if you stand back away from it and you look, then you can see how the face pops out. When you're up close, it's like, did I do something wrong? But I didn't. It's just the way this is. So I do all my patterns on graphs if they're complicated. So let's see. Go that way, don't go that way. I've done like the chevron, the V, and that was done with the graft. But I used yarn to keep my line straight. And then I used like a piece of yarn with a weight at the bottom to keep my center straight. That was my husband's idea. It turned out pretty good. And then I did a picture, a quilt of a, oh, now I can't think of it. Well, a diamond, and then one like, well, I have an 18-year-old grandson, and it's a maze, so I did a maze for him, blue and white maze, or blue and blue maze, and I did it because he was basically searching, you know, for a new life or whatever, and I just kind of, it just seemed to fit the time and place at the time when I made it. So trouble. But anyway, he's better now. But you know, sometimes our life can become like a maze until we figure it out, right? And for some reason that seemed to fit. And so I looked in books. That's how kind of sometimes when I'm um, thinking of doing a quilt, I look at other people's quilts. I have lots of quilting books. And so then once I've get my idea down, what I want to do, and get some ideas from other people, and then I start working. And so this, for instance, this is like two different designers, and I just put them together. And I'll probably tweak it, just do my own thing. And not everybody's quilts are the same. It's not exactly the same quilt as the designers that designed each one. One was a dog quilt, with many labs because Bagel was a lab, and the other one was just the 2x2 or the 2.5x2.5 squares, and I think there's 24 squares in each patch. So some of them are a little larger because I was just playing around with it. So trying to figure out how I was going to do it. And plus, at the time, Bagel was not sewn together, and I was working on the squares, and I thought, well, why is this not coming out? And then come to figured it out was that because Bagel's head wasn't sewn together, her portrait wasn't sewn together, that those squares are not going to meet up until they're all sewed together. So I could have done that one a little bit better. I think I'll take that out and redo this one. That did not meet up good. Let's do that one again. See what I did wrong. Let's see. Well, these two have to come together because it's like a V here. I do believe, unless I messed it up. So yeah, those are V's here. Yeah. Okay, so let's try doing that one again. Hopefully I don't mess it up. Like that. Probably be better if I trim my squares. Well. Okay, let's try it again. Yeah. Another thing is about this machine, it goes really quick, real fast. And if you get your fingers in the way, you have a big problem. I haven't done that yet, but it's been close. Knock on wood, I will never do that. But you know how it is. Sometimes you get distracted or whatever. It's like cutting fabric with the rotary cutter. I've done that one. So what I like about this machine, there's a lot. I mean, it has a self cutter, and then you go back to sewing it, and it just connects the thread that you just cut, because it cuts the thread, and then so the bobbin, I guess, just pushes the thread back up, and then you start sewing again, and it's there. It's not like you need to pull the strings out, even though I do that sometimes because it's just an old habit. That's better. It's not perfect, but it'll do. It's a lot better than it was. Okay, so am I supposed to sew this onto here? I think I do. But I'm going to go check and make sure. Let me iron this. Okay. So let's see if I did it right. I don't know if I did it right. Oh, it looks like maybe I did it right. Yeah, maybe. So I still need a little piece right there. It really kind of messed me up with that little thing there. So I'll just add a little piece to it. Ugh. See, and then over here too. Interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See that? I mean, it's not like I need a whole piece. And there was another thing is like in the mouth area. Well, no, it was up here. Right here. Well, it shouldn't make any rhyme or reason because you're basically just cutting one of these in half, basically, and it shouldn't be. But the fact is that there's no seam here, and it's just a square, which maybe there should have been a seam there, now that I think about it, so it would still kind of crunch it together. Well, anyway, like I said, I'm doing it my way, so we'll just continue in mine. My way. Just continue my way. Okay, so I need 2 half ones there, which I can do. Let me go find some more. Well, let me see. What should I do? What should I do? Well, I think what I'll do is just sew those together, finish sewing them together, and then sewing them to this one. And then later on, I'll add those. I'm guessing. Don't have, let me get another piece of fabric here. Sorry about this. I didn't anticipate this problem. So I know this is a mess, but these are all the fabrics I'm working on in this quilt. And these will all become, not that one, but these are potential, these squares here, all cut in 2.5 by 2.5 lengths. And I will put them together and I will make squares out of them. But I have a big mess here because sometimes that happens. Anyway, let's find what I was looking for. I can't make up any excuses. I think we all have this problem once in a while. Now all these fabrics that I have here, oh, see, here's the start of the squares. I just need to cut them. And all these fabrics here are ones that I have gotten from secondhand store. And that's another story. I'll tell you that another time. Right now, I just want to get this cut. I know it's not professional, but let me see. I can do it right here. Instead of looking weird, I'll just do it right here so I can not look weird doing it. The story of my room here in my house is a place where I come, and probably you too. I mean, we all have our sewing rooms or sewing nooks or, just an area. And I like to think about my sewing room as a place where I can come and relax. Life is so hectic. And it just kind of takes you into another place in your life. You know what I mean? It's so relaxing. You can come in here and you can be creative and you can make quilts for your children. I want to leave something for my kids when the time comes. You never know when the time will come. But when the time comes, hopefully I will have quilts made for everybody that I know in my family. Well, of course I know them because they're my family, right? I mean, close ones. And leave something for them from me. Now that I'm 72, we don't know how our life is going to be. And I just want to leave something for them to remember me of or by. And also, I wanted to make some videos of how I go about making my quilts, because I think I don't make your traditional quilts so much. I have made some log cabin quilts, but I've kind of tweaked them. And every quilter does tweak them, and I'm sure you do too. We all have our own way of doing things. So, anyway, I'm not a tweaker. I just tweak my quilts. So that's good. I don't know how that'll fly, but I don't know how that one will fly. Okay, so that one's all sewed together. Yep. Okay, so this and this. We'll go to the end. Oops. There's a pin on there I couldn't see. Oh gosh. I have this carpet floor. It's not ideal for quilting or dropping pins. So I made a point not to slide my feet on the carpet. I mean, I do get in here to vacuum it, but it's like my son came in one time and he was moving something for me and he goes, I got stuck by a pin. I said, well, for one thing, he was wearing socks. I said, you don't wear socks in my room and you don't slide your feet. I said, I try to get up all the pins, but sometimes one will drop and I don't see it. And you get poked. At least you still have feeling in your feet, right? Anyway. So let's sew this one together. I have my foot pedal down here on top of this metal. Well, actually it goes in the machine. It's an arm that lifts up this your foot here, but I have it underneath the foot that you push, because there's a cutter on it. And plus I have my foot turned around backwards. So instead of having my foot on the entire kettle. I have it turned the opposite way, so all I have to do is just touch with my toes. And then I have it sitting on this bar so it doesn't cut, because I don't want to do the automatic cutting. I mean, that's another good thing about this machine. It does have an automatic cutter in the foot, but sometimes it happens, and I don't want it to happen at the time. So I know that there's this rubber thing that you can buy, and it goes underneath your pressure foot, no, whatever that is that you put your foot on to get the machine going. Foot pedal, I guess. It's like driving, similar to driving. And so yeah, so that's what I do, because I don't want it to cut what I'm doing. And you know how that is, when you're driving down the road or something, and
the time is now 4 p.m.
Your
the room temperature is 72
your
Fahrenheit.
Right foot just knows how fast, or how, you know what I mean? You just have feeling, and it's the same thing with sewing. I have to use my right foot. Now, I've tried using my left foot on my Viking that I have, because the position I'm sitting at that table, and I have a zillion boxes under my table, which I'm not going to show you, but it's full of scraps. And so anyway, so I'll use my left. Well, my left, I guess because it's my right side of my brain can't control my left foot, and it just presses too hard, or it is like, no, this is not going to work. I'm going to have to figure out a way I can work with this fabric, this machine. Well, it's a new machine too, a new used machine. How about it? New used. Doesn't have all its parts, but it's good enough for me. I guess that's kind of like I am. I don't have all my parts, but it's still good enough for me. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So I was getting back to this room. Okay. So to me, this room is a place where I can come in and relax. And everything that's going on outside, anywhere else in the world, it's just, it's like a room to escape. It's a relaxation room. Sometimes I put on relaxation music, or I'll listen to a talk show or something, not to interact with or whatever. It's just noise, or relaxation movie. I like to listen to I don't know. I just play music that's relaxation, or like maybe soundtracks of movies, or different kinds of music like that. Not so much to sing along or whatever, but it's as I say, it's relaxing. I have some overstuffed chairs here. My neighbor comes to visit me, and I'm always upstairs. This room's upstairs. It was actually a TV room when we first moved in. We thought it would be cool to have a TV room. And we'd only come up here to watch TVs. And then during COVID time, I got so sick of hearing the news about it, just like, give me a break. I mean, I was just going stir crazy with it. And you know, they would run the same commercials constantly, and it was always that one about that gal that sells insurance. And it was like, and that one, and what was the other one, was a cell phone one or something. Two commercials that they would run continuously. And it was just like, gosh. Anyway, so so after a while, and my husband's the type of guy that likes to watch sports or he watches old movies. And I'm not really into either one. I mean, I like an old movie once in a while, but he likes to watch old movies. And then, you know, you get into watching an old movie or a movie or something, and then he switches it. And I just stand there and go, why did you do that? And he goes, well, because I wanted to see what's going on in the sports. It's just like, I just said, okay, that's it for me. I can't do this anymore. So then I would start breaking out my sewing machine. I was downstairs, and we went to Hawaii. We went to Kauai, and my granddaughter and my daughter both asked me to make my granddaughter a quilt. And so that's how this room started. There was no way I could be able to work on a huge quilt in the kitchen and tear it down each time, and put everything away. I said, you know what? I would really like to have the TV room. And plus, he's got a man cave with a TV in it. So we really didn't need this extra room for watching TV. I have a TV in my room, and he has a TV in his man cave. And I will not allow to have a TV in the living room. The living room is just the living room. All my years, we always had a TV in the living room. And I think it's like when you have company come over, it's very distracting. So we don't have a TV in our living room anymore. So. Okay. So I'll put this one here. It all really kind of doesn't really, I know it's important to get your line straight. No. So try for that. Because that's more important than your ends. The ends will be cut anyway. And yeah, so okay. So it's all looking good, see? He's got a whisker hanging. Maybe I should leave that, but I should put the whiskers up here, I think. There. So what I thought I could do here is do some embroidery here and make like a tag, a silver tag or a blue tag or something, and kind of make it look like, a real collar. And then give her some bling, as they say, bling. Okay, let's just leave that there, and I'm just going to sew these on. I have some of these. Sorry about that. Okay. Good. Kind of quickly go through this. My graft is falling, but it doesn't matter now because these are all just squares. And they're just all squares. It's going across. That does not matter. They all fall on the floor. Okay, let's get this one done here. And these are, some of them are white and some of them are off white. So that's kind of the way her her fur was. So sometimes it looked, I mean, she was a white lab, but she had a lot of yellow in her too. So I figured I'd mix it up. She was a great dog. I really liked her a lot. Loved her so much. But I could never, I think she kind of took after me in a way. I could never train her very well, but she was very well known in our neighborhood. Not here, but the last neighborhood we lived in. And she would get out. We lived by the river in Oregon. And she liked to go visit neighbors. And I think that's pretty, I think a lot of labs are that way, because my sister lives up in Idaho and they live on like 5 acres. They have horses, blah, blah, blah. And they had a lab, and the lab did the same thing. It would run around while my brother-in-law was out feeding the horses, and then she would take off and go visit the neighbors. And then she'd run across the busy street, you know, and go visit the pig farm or whatever. And then she'd come back. And Bagel would do the same thing, but we didn't have pig farms. She'd usually go up on the street up above us, where the, if it wasn't the river, she'd go up to the main drag. And she would want to go for a walk, I guess, and walk down to the park. But as she got older, and you know, we'd be out calling for her, and then I'd send my grandson out looking for her, and he'd eventually find her. And you know, she's the kind of dog that you'd go to grab her and she'd take off running. It's just like, you stinker. And she would never come to me. I think because my voice is just too high-pitched. Now, if it was a man, then she would react and, you know, behave. But not for me. And I remember one time I took her to this park. Well, it was a park down the street from her house. And there was, and she was off her leash, right? And somehow she got off. She could pull her neck through that leash. And so there was this guy there at the park. And he said, "What's your dog's name?" And I told him, and he called her, and she came to him. And she sat right next to him and stayed there. And I was just floored. I just thought, how did you do that? She never does that for me. He says, "I'm a dog trainer." Oh, okay. There you go. And then he leaves, and then what'd she do? She takes off running again. God. Crazy. She's a crazy dog. But when she got old, she didn't run anymore. And we no longer live in Oregon. We live here in Georgia. And our yard is a big backyard and all fenced in. I mean, our other house was fenced in too, but it had a really, really backyard. And I would have to literally chain her up outside in front because she would just take off. And I always envied people that had dogs that stayed with them, you know, like they'll be running down the beach and their dog just trotting along and no leash, and they go for a hike and the dog is with them, following them. And, you know, everywhere they go, their dog follows. Bagel, she would go, "See ya," and she was gone. It's like, ah. I remember this other time I was at the park, and it was like, they had a big, well, they had a dog training, and then they had all these booths set up with all these dog treats and you know, selling collars and leashes and, you know, all kinds of stuff for dogs, and giving out free treats and all that stuff. And it was all geared for dogs, right? Now, there was these 2 little dogs that were on a leash and they were joined together, but it was like a Y. So one dog, you know, it was like a Y leash somehow. Oh no, it went like this. So the main leash was here, and then there was these two hooks or two, and then you had two dogs, right? Two dogs, right? Well, Bagel saw those dogs, and these dogs were little. Now Bagel never fought with the dogs. She loves other dogs, and so I'm standing there, and the next thing I know, I'm on the ground. She was, you know, very strong. She was 80 pounds, right? And I was on my back with her, with my arms extended back, holding on to her leash, and there were dogs all around me. That was so embarrassing, and I was so mad at her for that. I mean, I know she just wanted to visit these two little wiener dogs, but I just like, oh. She liked to go. We have an RV, and she would love to go in the RV with us, and we'd take her camping once in a while, or take her down to the beach. And there again, you know, you have to have them on a leash at the beach in Oregon, of course. They didn't have like a dog beach. And then there was a lot of areas that you can't bring your dogs because there is these birds that, you know, they're nesting on the beach, and so you have to keep your dogs away. Well, Bagel would get loose. We'd finally catch her and let's get out of here. let's get out of here quick. Oh, gosh. But as she got old, she really mellowed out, and all she did was sleep, and then she just got worse. And we eventually had to, unfortunately, put her down because she was losing control of her bowels and all that jazz. You know what old dogs do, and people do. And so, yeah, that's what we had to do for her. Gee, I think I need to put some more of these. I need two more. Two more. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. And 2 more short, or 3 more short. Oh well, that's easy to do. Like again, like I said, because I put this extra strip in here, it added more space. So I will need one. I want to aim it for the. I want to keep my line straight, so I need one here and one there. Okay, so 2 more. I can just steal them from here. And no, I'll just cut 2 more. Because I'd have to cut it again anyway. I hope this is not too boring for you. I'm enjoying myself. Okay, where to put my scissors? Well, I don't know. Oh. Well, I don't know. I guess I'll just have to use these little scissors here. Sometimes I lose things. I don't know why. All right. I know this is I know it maybe I won't do. Here we go. Oh, here's some more right here. Why cut them when you got them right here, Joe? No, oh, no. There's another thing. So what I do is when I'm working on project, believe it or not, this box is from, you know, when you buy your greens at the store. Ah, I found my scissors. When you buy your greens at the store, I save these plastic containers and I wash them out, dry them, of course, and then I put my projects in them. So this is the project for this quilt, and then I have another quilt over here that you can't really see, and that well, that doesn't have a box because it's done practically, but I'm working on purses, and so I have them all. I have all these over there on my rack. I have a rack over there, and it has blue, green, pink, purple, orange. And so anyway, those are all the projects that I need to get started on for bags I need to make for sale. So anyway, I can show you one cute little bag I just made for my niece, my niece's daughter, which I would be her niece. She's my niece, and I am her daughter's grandniece. We figured that out last night. Oh gosh, I'll show you that in a second here after I cut this. I found my scissors. All right, I'm just going to use a square that I already had cut. It's just easier. Usually I have a cutting board over there and I cut it all out, but since it's a mess over there and you're not allowed to see that mess because it's a working table, I will show you that in a minute. So like, you know, when I'm talking about relaxation, if there's a craft out there you like to do, or sewing, or it just is does something great for your brain, you know, the creative, you know, being creative. And I remember raising kids and my grandson. I mean, anytime I would sew it, I'd break it out while they were in school, and then I'd put it all away when they'd come home because I didn't want them to get into it or whatever, you know, whatever it was. And so here, I don't have to put anything away because this is my sewing room. And all I do is unplug the machines, turn off the radio, unplug the iron, and then leave my resting place and go cook dinner or whatever. But what I'm saying is, this is my Shangri-La. This is my my room where I can just play and have fun and enjoy it. And nobody's going to tell me I did it wrong. Only I. Only I will say, oh, you did that wrong, Joan. That's what I like. Okay, let's see what we have. I probably have too many now. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I have 9. I might have to cut one off. That's okay. Like I said, I'm winging it. I don't know if you guys do that, if you just wing it like I do, but yeah, I'll have to cut one off. that's okay. Alrighty. That's all right. Bigger is better, because if it's too small, you know, or they say like when you're cutting wood or something. I don't know if that has anything to do with quilting, but so what yeah, so this might work. And I can always chop it off if it's too long, which probably will be, but that's okay. I don't care at this point. So like these squares here, I'm thinking either moving them down so they're here. And of course they're not going to match up because of that line there, which is a total bummer. I didn't think about that. But anyway, I'll figure it out. And then this one will come down here like this. You see what I mean? There's just pins under here because I have numbers under there. But anyway, so it'll be like this, I think. Or I might just put like a roll of squares or something above it. I don't know. I haven't got that far. But see, when you have a room like this, you can just kind of play around with it and add your own ideas. It doesn't have to go by a pattern. It can be your own thing. And that's what's fun. I might have to help. I might need help to get me where I'm going. But once I'm on that train and I'm going down that track, I can figure it out. And if I can't figure it out today, I'll come back tomorrow and work on it. Oh, and I wanted to show you that bag I just finished. I thought it was quite cute. I want to share it with you. I know it's